Alrighty, how we doing? So my guest today is Greg Lam of Life Where I'm From. Greg is the creator of the immensely popular Life Where I'm From YouTube account, which currently has over 1.5 million YouTube subscribers and aims to give educational and interesting insights into the everyday, the special events, and the uniquely Japanese aspects of life in Japan. So in today's conversation, we cover his process for making videos, the YouTube landscape itself, and also his new documentary, Being Japanese. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with Greg Lam. Right, so Greg, thank you so much for being on today. But I think a cool place to start would maybe just to be your overall process for a video. So like from start to finish, from idea to uploading, I'd love to hear what your whole process looks like, and as well as the time and effort just involved for one, say, 20-minute video.
Right. Okay, that's kind of a complicated question, although it might seem simple because every single video I do is different. But let's just do a basic, takes me 2 weeks to make video. So everything always happens to have like an idea. And usually it's a title I write down. And it's like, okay, what I just did is what Japanese really eat for dinner. So I had this idea for a series where we check a whole bunch of people out and see what they're eating for dinner. So we got like 7 or 8 people. So once you have that idea down and you write the title down, then you're like, okay, so like what are the different pieces I need together for the video? And it's just kind of like the rough bullet points, rough things. Then you actually try to get some people to film, right? So go out and film the people. Usually filming doesn't take too long in comparison to everything else. So if I'm maybe 2 days at the most, I would say. And then the editing is probably going to take 1 week.
Yeah.
Right? So at least 1 week. And that's if everything's in a perfect world. It doesn't always happen like in a short time frame. It could happen over many, many months. But yeah, I'd say a week of editing, 2 days of shooting, maybe 1 or 2 days of like kind of pre-production, like just trying to think about the idea, brainstorm, research. Yeah, that's about roughly it.
Yeah. So how many videos do you have on the go at any one stage at different stages of production?
Oh, yeah. I kind of feel like 10's about the number,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah, because some things take maybe like a year to film because we need to have several people, or we need to film things at different times of the year, or some people are hard to get a hold of, or I'm just busy working on a different project, or I'm just not feeling like editing this certain one at the time. But I think it's safe to say I usually have about 10 projects that are on the go. Yeah.
Interesting. I'd love to ask specifically about video intros, because obviously with YouTube, video intros, I've heard a lot with Mr. Beast. He's very hyper-focused on his intros. And I loved your one from the video, The Rules That Rule Japan. They had some beautiful shots, but maybe it wasn't optimized perfectly for YouTube algorithm. How do you think about your intros? And yeah, just guide me through that.
Intros, honestly, is probably one of the things I think about the least, because it's always the idea and the story for me. So I'm always thinking about what do I want to tell people in this video? I'm not really that focused on optimizing for the audience, like looking at the initial view times and seeing how many people are stick around after 30 seconds and all that. I do check it out every once in a while, but it's really tough because so you said The Rules That Rule Japan, that you saw, but I just did a video about the day in the life of a Sento owner, and that was a pretty slow open, I would say, cold open. So I wasn't optimizing for, I don't know, the algorithm on that one, but that just felt like that was the pace that was needed. And I think people responded to that video. So I think it just depends on what the video is. So, but as an example for the What Japanese Really Eat for Dinner video, I was thinking, okay, like how do I make this intro kind of a little more exciting so people want to watch every single person's meal? So I kind of highlighted some of the meals we'll be talking about and showing, and then we jump into the first meal.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because they're definitely different styles of videos, so maybe it works for different videos, doesn't it? Does that sort of thinking apply with thumbnails? Because I know you've gone back and redone a lot of your thumbnails. How do you view thumbnails?
I wouldn't say I've redone a lot of the thumbnails, but I've definitely been changing them as I go along, and I still don't know what's a great thumbnail. I'm trying to think about it. Maybe when you said redone, you're thinking about like maybe if I post it and then like a week or two later, I might go and change it, or sometimes the next day. There's a few that I've experimented with, and I've gone back like a year later and changed the thumbnail, changed the title, and some for some reason, that's a little more catchy. And then a video that was doing 100,000 now has 1 million views after a year. And so it's the same exact video, just different thumbnail and title. So they are quite important. But as to what's a good one, I still honestly couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And to go back to the start of your YouTube journey, at what point do you think you really found your voice and maybe your niche? Like hearing a story in going viral and becoming famous, it seemed you started, it was just about having fun and being educational. Was there any video or moment in time where you thought this could really be something big?
So I'll say two things. One is that the first video I ever had viral was maybe, I think, like 4, 5, 6 months, maybe 4 months after I first started uploading. And that was something about the 12 reasons why Japanese bathrooms are the best, right? I had seen other videos go viral before, so I thought, okay, this is like a one-off thing. And that video was kind of like a parody in a sense. Like it was a joke title. It wasn't the information was true, but the way I presented it was kind of like I was pretending to be like other people, but that actually did work, which was ironic. So, but I thought, no, this is a flash in the pan. I'll just, keep on making the videos I make. I'm not going to change what I do based on this video. But it just kept on slowly growing after that. So I was quite surprised. Probably a big turning point for me was I released my first, what I'd call like a mini documentary. And that was what owning a Japanese ramen restaurant is like. And that one was way different than the style I was used to doing because I had focused on family videos and simpler videos, and I don't think I really narrated. Sometimes I would ask questions, kind of like behind the camera, but I wasn't narrating something. And so this one, I actually ended up narrating quite a bit and different style. And I thought, like, I just hope people don't hate me for this, really, was what I was thinking. And they ended up actually really liking that. Went viral, and that was a huge success. And then I thought, oh, okay, so I can actually make topics without my family that are more mini documentary style, like go a little more in depth, and people will still watch. So I'm free to try out different things. So that was a big turning point, I think.
Yeah, and this is just curious on my part because I love that video with the ramen shop owner. But how do you you've been in video for a long time, but how do you get over, maybe for me, I'd feel awkward maybe recording in public, and I don't know, just how do you approach that? Maybe is it something you even think about, or is it just natural at this point?
Okay, well, there's two parts about filming in public. One is just having your camera and filming other people. That one I'm totally fine with because I used to be a freelance videographer back in Vancouver. So I was used to filming people, and I can kind of just lose myself and I'm so focused on trying to get, make sure the lighting's right, the audio's right, the composition is correct. Like, am I catching the moment? I'm going to miss something. I'm just so busy thinking about that I'm not really thinking about people looking at me filming. So that I'm totally fine with. On the other side, presenting to a camera, that is tough for me in public, and I don't really do it that often if you look at my videos. I've tried to challenge myself and push myself and do that on certain videos, and I liked the way it worked. I think the first one where I did that, especially in public with lots of people around too, having to walk and talk, was Let's Talk About Weird Japan. I think that was the title. And I liked the result of it. And so I'll do it when I feel it's necessary, but I always prefer just kind of being behind the camera, doing voiceovers afterwards, and not filming in public.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. This is why I do the podcast. I'd rather ask questions than answer it myself. But we spoke about how when you found your voice. On the other side, monetary wise, was there ever a point in the YouTube journey where you thought, yeah, I could go full time with this? And what were your steps afterwards? Or how have you ever viewed monetizing your YouTube channel?
Right. Well, honestly, at the start, I didn't even monetize. I didn't think it was worth it. And I think also at the time, everybody's perceptions of what works and what doesn't on YouTube changes. It seems like monthly. And so one of the things was like, well, maybe putting ads on your videos detract people from watching it. So what's the point? You have like no viewers. It's not going to be worth anything anyways. So let's just put it out there. Don't worry about monetization. I think when the first video the viral one, the bathroom one, it had like 500,000 views. I'm like, oh, maybe I should try this monetization thing. Turned it on. It didn't affect any performance whatsoever, and oh, you can actually make some money. But I didn't think about actually making any significant amount of money, and so I did it for, I want to say, 2.5 years. I'd have to actually look back and see, but I know it was about 500,000 subscribers or so that I had. And then I started thinking, maybe I can just focus on this, full time. So I stopped doing my main job. I completely quit that and just went YouTube full time. And the first month after I did that, it was like really bad month in July. It's just not enough to live off of, honestly. But, it went back up eventually, and it's been good ever since. So I think I was a lot more cautious than other people. I guess depends which area you're from too, right? But I've seen people like hit 50,000 or 100,000 and they want to like quit their jobs and do that. Like I would have never have done that. Like 500,000, I was still nervous about doing that.
No, fair enough. And what have been maybe the biggest lessons or takeaways monetizing and maybe that aspect of it?
Well, it's changed a lot. And I've only been in it for, I think, almost 6 years now, I want to say. Or is it 6.5 or close to 7? Yeah, I forget how long I've been doing it. But before I started doing it, I was watching other people and, I'd read up about it and whatnot. And honestly, at the start, ad revenue was not a lot of money. Even though it was the majority, it was not a lot of money. I think it's like tripled or quadrupled since when I started.
Wow.
And it could be, and depends on your niche too. I know that. So some niches do really well. Like I think tech people and even like people that talk about business and stuff like that, they tend to have a lot higher monetization rates than other videos or genres. And if I look at my own videos, some videos do double the rate of other ones. So really the ad rate depends on video. Another component is I have Patreon, which is crowdfunding. So people support that way. And that's been really good. And I think more like from the mental side than anything else, because I know I have a fairly constant stream of revenue that I can count on to pay the bills with this money, like a budget I have. And it doesn't fluctuate that much, maybe 5%, maybe 10% at the most in a month, but it's fairly steady. Whereas YouTube ad revenue, it could fluctuate. It can be double the next month or triple the next month, and then half of that, and then you just don't know what's going to happen. And then if you don't publish some videos or you're just having a bad run, I mean, our January hits because December's the biggest month for ad revenue. January's like the worst. Then, so it just goes up and down. And then the last component for me is sponsored videos, and I think for that's actually a tricky one because I think people in the States, for what I hear, they actually make pretty good money from sponsored videos. In Japan, I think for me, there's two types that you can get. One is just this, I'll call them like software as a service or internet ads. Like, there's Audible, ExpressVPN, Skillshare. There's stuff that people can go online anywhere in the world and use this service. So those I can do from any content I have. You can kind of put those ads within your video. So those ones, they're great because they don't really affect your content at all. Like I can do whatever video I want, and I only choose products that I would actually use myself, or that I actually do. Mostly, I do use all the products myself, right? Mm. So there's something I can actually recommend to my viewers. And those ones are good because, again, they don't really affect the content, and usually you can put it at the very end of the video. The second type of sponsorship is the one where, I guess they're tourism is what I would say, tourism money. So like an area, like a prefecture or a city in Japan, they want to promote an area, so they want you to go and try out some of the, tourist things. So I've done a few of those over the years. And those are interesting because you get to see new places, and they're usually, you get to see some nice places as well. So those are interesting to do, but I've really tried to limit the amount that I do. Because even still, like with a sponsored video, even though you don't think it's affecting your video, are either like the videos you make are how you present in a video, you still have restrictions, right? You're not completely free. So, like for example, this fall, like I just wanted to make whatever I wanted to make. I didn't want to worry about deadlines of other people or that I had to film a certain subject. So I'm making what I want to make, and that's what I did for since August actually, and that's been great too. So
Yeah, no, you love to hear it. And they have to sort of sign off on that, and they're reaching out to you as well for those?
I don't think I've ever reached out to anyone on any sponsored video that I actually have. I think the only time I've reached out was like a rafting one in Canada where I already have been to the place a few times, and we just did kind of like a swap of services,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But besides that, no, people generally reach out to me for every single one, and I mean, you just get emails. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And do you ever strategize or chat with other YouTubes about, I don't know, just, yeah, content, and like, do you chat with other people and try and learn off them, or how does that work?
I have, but I wouldn't say often. Maybe there's one or two people that I'll talk to, on a monthly basis or whatnot. And some people that I can just, if I, want to double check something or having a problem with something that, I can just, message and they can help out. So that's cool. There's some other people where I've talked to like, once in a year or once every 2 or 3 years. So I wouldn't say I talk to them normally, but it's nice that if I do have a question or something, that I think people are generally pretty cool, like, okay, helping each other out. And, it's, I think most like successful creators have gotten past the point of like thinking that, oh, like this person's my competition, I can't help them out, like they're gonna take over and take my views away. I don't really think that's how it works. So when people come to me, other creators that I know, and they ask for something, I try to help them out as best as I can, and I think they've done the same for me. So that's been nice. But I would honestly, it'd be nicer to talk on a regular basis with people, because I mean you're just doing it all on your own. So it's yeah.
Yeah. No, I got a group chat of mates all doing similar stuff, and I cannot recommend it highly enough, because it's just, yeah, constant bouncing ideas and just little things they pick up on, share with you, you share with them. It really comes around. Have there been any aspects of YouTube and making videos that you think people don't appreciate? Like, what do you wish more people knew about your work?
That's a good question, because I guess reading the comments, you can get two things, right? One, that people just really don't understand at all the work that it takes to go into things, or all the editing that you have to do, or the filming, or permissions, or so they would just watch a few minutes and just make a quick comment, and you're like, yeah, they just totally don't know. And then there's the other people who are like super complimentary to you, like, oh, I love your your film cinematic like shots, and oh, the story's so fantastic, I cried. And you're like, but are they just being really nice, is what I think as well. So I kind of try to average it out. But perhaps like, I mean, before you started recording, I was worrying about my audio, right? Because I wanted to make sure the audio was good. And I set up a light over here to make sure, like, I mean, I closed all my blinds actually and set up a light to try to make it better. And this light's not even my proper light. My proper light's with my sister-in-law right now. So I kind of have this little like emergency light, I would say, that I'm using. And I'm like, I don't know if it's good enough. And even the camera quality, I'm like, oh, should I get another camera and use a better camera to film than send you the footage? But I guess it's a podcast, it's audio, so you don't really need the visual. So I guess how much I sweat all the little details, and I guess I usually end up hating the videos by time I release them, because I've been working on them so long, looking at all these little details and thinking that people are going to see them all the faults. And I mean, I think there are people that definitely do see the problems, but the vast majority don't. And so I got to keep on trying to remember that it's the content that's important, not like if the thing's slightly out of focus or a little bit shaky or the audio is not perfect on this one. But if it's, if the story is better because of it, then I got to choose the story over any of the technical things that I'm getting wrong. I mean, just like on my last video, I shot myself and I was looking green, and then I was looking orange, and I was looking yellow, and I couldn't color correct myself properly. And I hate the way my skin looks. Every single time I see the first shot of the opening of me, I'm like, it's wrong. and I was working on it for a couple hours and I just couldn't like quite crack it. So I just released it, but I I still don't like it, and I still want to get it better and improve.
Yeah, it's so cool to hear that because it's the exact same with the podcast. I don't think I'm ever happy with a question. I was talked too fast. But yeah, it's that internally generated pressure, isn't it, for you as well?
Definitely, I'm always. I mean, I guess to kind of expand on a more overall scale, not like a video by video, is that I mean I've been doing this like I think April 2015 is when I launched, right? So it's 2021, so it's 6.5 years then, if my math is correct. And um, I think I've gotten a little more like accepting that you're gonna have waves of people watching your video, and some videos will just do well and you have no reason why, and some videos that you think will do well won't do well, and sometimes who knows, the algorithm gods are just in your favor. But um, I've seen so many people like they're still making good videos, the quality is great, but it just starts slowly going down. You're like, wow, they got like 1 million subs and they're getting like 5,000 views a video. Is that going to be my fate?
Yeah.
Like, when is that going to happen? And I just keep on waiting for the ball to drop. And I don't know if that ever goes away, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fair call. And it's interesting, often, sometimes I'll hate an episode or I'm sick of it, but it'll perform really well. So has there been any videos for you that have performed totally different to your expectations of them? Either unexpectedly well or worse?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd actually have to go through my list of videos to, pull them out specifically. I think one video that I thought, like, I put a lot of effort into was I was explaining why Japanese love bathing. And I thought, okay, yeah, this is going to do great. And it didn't do well at all. It had, I don't know, it was probably less than 100,000 views. Any video that has less than 100,000 views in my catalog is way below average. So that's considered like not doing well in my books. So yeah, that I think after a year maybe it was less than 100,000. And that's one of the ones where I actually did change the thumbnail and title, and then said hey, to on my community chat, I said like, hey, look, like this video didn't do well. Like, was there anything about it or anything? And then it got picked up, and it's over 1 million views, and people appreciate it. So you just don't know. Even like I told you about the Sento video one I just did, that had a really slow start. And it was like, because YouTube now tells you, right, out of your past 10 videos, this is like how well it's done. And maybe that was like 8 out of the past 10 videos. So it had a pretty slow start. But I think now it has over 200,000 views, and it's only been a few weeks. And the comments on there are just fantastic, though. People seem to be really touched by the mini documentary I made, and that made me feel like, okay, I touched some people with this. I told a story, and yeah, I was already happy with it when it didn't have that many views, but it had some great comments on it. But now it's also getting some good viewership too. So I think it's one of those videos that will just kind of continue to be a solid video over time.
Do you find your mini documentaries are more so those slower burn type view situations?
Not necessarily. Like, it'd be interesting. Like, I always look at the patterns, try to see the patterns. But then it's like a lot of the time I'll say like one thing, but then I'll do the other thing, or like I'll try to forget that advice because sometimes it doesn't work. Like, I think for a time, like I say, like the family videos were doing just as well as the documentary videos. And sometimes they go up and down. But like, for example, of a slow burn, I mean, or a high burn was like the very first video I published was what Japanese breakfast is like. I don't even know what that has way over 10 million views now. Maybe it's getting close to 20. And it just keeps on performing no matter what. And you're just like, it's crazy. And that one, I always use as an example to other people because I shot that on a point and shoot camera. And I was hand holding like a Zoom microphone to capture some audio because I didn't even have any different audio things I could use. And so I was about the most basic for me that I can get. I guess people would nowadays film their smartphone, although those are pretty good quality. But yeah, like it's the people like the story and capturing, the moment that I captured in that. And so it's done well. So No, I wouldn't say mini documentaries necessarily slow burn any better than, I don't know, like regular life videos. It really just depends on the video.
Yeah. This is kind of going off the cuff. How do you think about story then when doing your videos? Like, is there any specific things you want to tell in a story? Just how do you approach that then?
Yeah, that's probably the trickiest part for me, honestly. That's where I get caught up the most is what's the story?
Yeah.
What am I trying to tell people? Because a lot of the times I could research like so much. Like I can sometimes spend like a week researching, good 40, 50, 60 hours researching. And then I have all these great things that I found so fascinating. But then, you spend 2 hours researching this one little, like a sentence, like really a sentence. And then sometimes I end up cutting that thing out of the story. So I think I always got, like, when I'm like really in the zone, I would say on like, especially more like on the mini documentary stuff, I just think like, what am I trying to tell people? And you just kind of you have to keep on editing and cutting back, cutting. I rarely add something back that I've cut.
Okay.
I keep it. Like I have like many versions of the same project. And so I can go back in case. And sometimes I go back and I'm like, okay, I want this little clip. But generally I cut more than than I add back. But I will add things after the fact, like research something and add it via voiceover or like go and film something else and like But I guess telling a story is just, can I make this story interesting or captivating for people? And for example, I would totally edit what I said just now because I probably could have said it in about 45 seconds and it took me, I don't know how many minutes.
I'm the same with my questions. So I'm
Yeah.
always like, yep, cut this, re-record. And it's almost a bit painful sometimes. But just curious, how much storage of archive footage do you have? Like, how many terabytes you got? Like, what's your process look like?
Yeah, let's see here. I think I keep on switching the drives in the systems, but I think my drives are 14 terabyte ones now. And then I back up those ones as well. But I have 3 full 14 terabyte drives.
Wow.
So
Is there a video that sticks out that was much harder to make than the rest?
yeah, there's maybe there's 3 videos. I think the first one that was the hardest one to make for me was the homeless one, because it started off with a simple question of, I saw a tarp with solar panels on it. I'm like, why does this homeless person have solar panels on their tarp? Like, and they had the bike outside. Like, it seemed like a pretty decent setup. So I'm like, why are they living homelessly? I wanted to know the answer. And so, I interview academic, I film, I go out with groups that like nonprofits that do homeless counts, and go to a organization that feeds homeless people, and just do a whole bunch of filming over the course of a year. And it's like you have all this footage, and I had never tried something of that scale before. So you're like, well, again, what is the story? And I just couldn't figure it out because there was so much great information. I didn't want to cut anything. And but in the end, I ended up making like a 6 or 7 minute video. And it was like why Japanese homeless in Japan are different from homeless in North America. Because that seemed like, again, if you're going like breaking things down to this, the smallest idea, that was like kind of what I thought interested me, or like piqued my interest at the start. And so that's what other people would be interested in knowing as well. And then I made 4 other videos in the series, and those 4 other videos was like, because I didn't want to waste all the effort in the story of the people that I captured and all the people that helped me produce. And there's such great information in there, so I just wanted to get it out there. So I released 4 other videos talking about, like, trying to explain why it's different, right? To go more in depth into it. So that was hard because I just had no idea of how to think about it. And maybe the second one, if you'll indulge me,
Yeah.
is I call it the documentary. It's I made a documentary called Nihonjin Towa, which is being Japanese, and it's about Japanese identity. And I made it because I think a lot of people think of Japan as homogeneous people, like they're all the same. But it's not true, not for like even if you do videos in Tokyo, they're like, okay, but yeah, that's true in Tokyo, but it's not true in Akita, or it's not true in Okinawa or Kyushu or Hokkaido, like, and depending on you know, but not even at that part. But then there's people like my kids who are called hafu, so they're one Japanese parent, one non-Japanese parent, and there's so many different types of Japanese people. So I want to explore that question. And how long did I? Oh my goodness, how long did I? I think it was 3 years. I think since I officially said I was going to start making it, and even before I started making it, I was probably thinking about it for like a year or two and starting like pre-production stuff. So it was a long process in comparison to a YouTube video, which you could like the quickest possible. You can come up with an idea, film it, and edit it, and release it all in one day. That's rarely true for me, but you could. Mine's probably more. I mean, my biggest projects were like maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months. That's kind of more like the average for things. But yeah, 3 years. That's a really difficult time, and you have all these incredible interviews and stories, and like how do you fit it all? It's like how do you fit it all into 2 hours? Was my big struggle, and I managed to edit something into 2 hours. Did I do a good job of it? I don't know, but I'm happy with what I've done. But it's also one of those weird things because it's right now it's behind a paywall on Vimeo, so you can rent it or buy it. And I know only a couple thousand people have seen the documentary, whereas usually when I post on thank you, I post on YouTube, if a couple thousand people watch your YouTube video, for me that'd be absolute failure. So I do plan on releasing it on YouTube in 2022 for free for everyone to see, because my intention was always to make this for people to see. It wasn't like a money-making project. So that'll happen, but it was tough because not only trying to edit and put everything together and work with different artists, like a sound composer, music composer, a manga artist who did the visuals, and then somebody who did motion graphics, motion design, and then translating everything. My goodness, that was difficult trying to get that all together. And then just that was just tough. And at the time I'm doing that, I can't focus 100% on my YouTube channel. So that you can just see it slowly going down, the view count and kind of like the interest, because I'm not being able to post very often on YouTube. So okay, I'm losing like a huge chunk of my income on YouTube, and I'm spending a lot of money making this documentary, trying to make it as good as I can. And yeah, it was tough, man. It was tough. I'm glad I did it. I think hopefully I made something for people who don't quite feel that they're 100% Japanese or struggle with their identity, and even for people who are who consider themselves completely Japanese, but they can learn like how other Japanese people feel, and even for people around the world just to know like, okay, so there is diversity in Japan. And I think it's still kind of a universal story though.
Yeah.
Right? Even though it's called being Japanese.
No, because I love the documentary, and just my personal opinion, but I think really you should release the behind the scenes videos as well, because it gives such a greater respect and idea of what goes on behind the scenes, because there's so much involved, like you said. And
I might do that.
Yeah, just my opinion. And for the documentary, so what was your thought process? Was the documentary first, then the idea of being Japanese, or was it being Japanese, then turn this into a documentary?
I think I pretty much talked about my thought process in the trailer, where, I was thinking maybe it was from my kids, maybe it's partly from my own background, because I'm Canadian, but I'm also like considered Chinese and a mix of like some British, but I could be all these things simultaneously, and I found it relatively easy to do in Canada. Like people, don't necessarily question it that much. But in Japan, like my kids just saying, "Hey, we're Japanese," it just doesn't work out so easily, because there's always that but at the end of it. And I started thinking, like, well, like, what does it take to be fully Japanese then, right? And that's the question, like, what is it to be Japanese? How do you be Japanese? And that's the question we explore in the documentary.
Yeah, no, that's a big, tough question, but I think you've done it well. Has there been an overall favourite video? Are the hardest ones often your favourite ones to do, like the satisfaction, or?
Not necessarily. They can be rewarding after, especially if people seem to get what you've done. One of my favorites, I'll say, is actually a lot simpler one. It was just for fun. It was with my two kids, and I was making kind of a parody of like a lot of the chef channels on Netflix, or actually, well, obviously other people do cooking channels and whatnot, but like they're really into like showcasing the food and stuff. And so I thought, oh, okay, like I'll have my kids go shop at 7-Eleven, and then they're gonna pretend they're like little chefs and make meals out of 7-Eleven. Like, but kind of the true part of the story is that you can get a lot of interesting ingredients from 7-Eleven and make meals out of them. So that's kind of interesting to see. So I want to show that to the world, but I'm doing it from the angle of like parodying chef shows. And so, yeah, I went out with my daughter and we filmed some scenes like biking through the fields, going shopping at 7-Eleven. And then she started coming up with ideas for like how to do it. And I talked to her recently about this, and she said, well, like she knew it wasn't real, but like she kind of felt like she started taking it seriously. Like she was really trying hard to make these meals. And then my son Shin, he's testing all these meals, and he's just hilarious, his reactions to like eating these things. And he was just like kept on with every single meal he'd be drinking milk, and it was just fun to film, and it was like super fun to edit. And I think most people got the joke, but some people don't, which was also funny as well to see. And it performed well too. So I don't know, it was just a fun light video. So I mean, they're nice to have. Just like I said, usually I hate the videos by time of release. I don't think I ever hated that video, so that was nice.
No, that's great. And yeah, it's cool to break out of your mold every once in a while.
Right.
So in terms of your overall YouTube process, how much can be outsourced? Because if I've got this right, your wife and sister-in-law are now working with you. So like, what does their look like? What does their work look like for you? And does it disrupt your flow and your style, or how do you approach that? Like,
right. I think that evolves over time. If you asked me 2 years ago, I would say that I can't outsource anything. I do everything pretty much myself. My wife did help out with translating interviews and whatnot, and sometimes she'd be there with me and help interview people. But basically, I was still doing 100%. Like, besides that, 100% of everything. I think the documentary forced me to work with other people because I wanted to get other people involved, because I thought it would make the documentary better. And so I had to learn how to work with somebody, again, like in sound, graphic artist, translation, and with motion graphics. And that was a very interesting learning process, because I kind of thought, oh, I'm hiring a fellow professional. I'll just say like, here, go do this and come back to me. I'm like, okay, it's done. And then I'm focusing on this other thing. But no, they needed like me. I felt like almost I was just as involved as if I was trying to do it myself. It wouldn't be as good, like, no doubt. Like, they raised the level of what could be done, but I still had to be there every step of the way, involved in the process, at least for the initial thing, because you have to learn each other's like working style, and they're not in your head, right? So you have to kind of, I guess, translate that to them, and guide them along. And so I don't, for that reason, I think I was never able to outsource, because I don't think I ever either had the budget to give it enough time, or just didn't have the patience, or I don't know what it is. But with my wife and my sister-in-law, so my wife, I guess I just trust when, like, for example, the Sento owner, that's a public bath owner, we recorded like with a lapel mic for like 10 hours, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to sit there with her and like I have an understanding of Japanese, but I don't have a deep understanding. So she's going to catch little nuances that I won't. So it's much better for her to like listen to the thing and catch what she thinks are the good snippets. So she's doing like, let's say, the rough cut. And then she brings those edits to me and say, okay, here's like the 30 minutes that I think are good. And then, we'll listen to it. She'll do some translation, and then, okay, yeah, maybe this is 20 minutes. Now can you translate all this stuff, right? And then she takes that 20 minutes, puts all the captions on that, and then I have it. And then for whatever reason, the way my mind can work is once I have the subtitles and I can see it as I'm editing, it helps me know the story even better for some reason. And then I cut that 20 minutes down to like 10 minutes or something, or 8 minutes or 7 or 6 minutes, and cut it down a lot more, because when you edit, you're like, okay, this is redundant, or I can voice over this, or I can say this, what it took a minute and a half to say, I can say it in 20 seconds. And so you just cut it down. So I think she's doing like the rough story editing for people speaking Japanese, I would say. Mm-hmm. And she's also doing the production, like what's it called? Like the setup of the shoots, right? So the communication back and forth with people saying, hey, we want to interview you. Here's what we're about. Here's some examples of other videos we've done. And when you're actually doing the interview, like sometimes she would, before we try to translate live, like after like maybe even quick summaries of what they're saying, because I won't necessarily understand 100% of everything they're saying all the time, but I have to just trust that it interrupts the flow too much to do that. So she just goes with the questions and comes up with, she's interviewing them basically, right? Mm-hmm. She's using my list as the base for what to, the topic, but then she has to go off on its tangents and see, oh, this is interesting, talk more about this. So that's what she does. So I think the longer we go, the more she's doing more stuff as the process. Now for my sister-in-law, it's a bit different, because my sister-in-law will tolerate being on camera. I won't say she'll love being on camera, but just like, I guess I'll tolerate being on camera. I don't love being on camera either. But my sister-in-law, like, I think she's pretty brave. She likes going out and filming, and I think she has an eye for stuff. So she'll go out and film things, and she'll also talk with people, chat with people, and that'll be interesting conversations. And she'll do the rough cut of what she thinks is good as well. So she's doing a lot more of the process. And so I think for that, with the Japanese Really series, that's also like an effort to kind of have a defined type of video that we can work on together, that, both my sister-in-law and my wife can kind of take over more and more of that process. I still have like the final edit of everything. I still spend a lot of time editing after they've done, their work, but they're definitely helping produce now. So it's cutting down on my time. And so I think in the future, there'll be more things where, they're the lead on the project, and I'm just kind of, looking at all the edits, supervising, and whatnot. And I think the reason it works is because they're obviously long-term, right? I don't have to worry about them not being interested, or like, I know they're getting enough money where they can, like, because of my wife, obviously we're enough money that we're going to survive. So, I don't have to worry about making sure she's fed. And my sister-in-law too, like I said, we have the Patreon based income. So then she can, I know, like, okay, she has a wage, and then she can, work on this. So it's, and she's willing to learn. So, I guess I don't know how much can be outsourced, to tell you the truth. I'm doing more of it, but still the story, I feel like they'll come to me with ideas sometime. Hey, is this interesting? But I think for a Western audience, it feels like it kind of still has to have my kind of, I don't know, touch or approval, because I kind of like, I feel like I know if I'm interested in it, probably other people are interested in it. And there's a lot of ideas, like even like the what Japanese really eat for breakfast. People are like, why would you show this? Like, this is not fantastic. The meal we're making, like, is not great. Like, no one wants to see this stuff. But I'm like, no, I think people really want to know what like a regular Japanese breakfast is, not this like super made up fancy breakfast, just like the everyday stuff. I think people are interested in this kind of thing, and I mean, yeah, people did watch that video, so yeah.
Yeah, no, you definitely feel your personality come through. Do you ever think you could outsource asset collection maybe, or do you think cinematography is still a big, like, your thing as well?
That's interesting. That's one. I mean, it's. I think you can. I think it'll change the video. You know, like, for example, I did video about what a typical Tokyo neighborhood is like. I also made one about zoning in there, and when I walk around and go, I just see and notice things. I'm like, oh, okay, I should film this. I should film that. And I think if I'm coming up, like, I don't always, some things I just roughly know, like, I want to show what a typical Tokyo neighborhood is like, and I have some ideas of things I want to show, but when you're actually there, you just find things that are interesting. And unless you have my eye, because like, the stories are told through, like, they're my stories, I don't know how you successfully do that, but maybe they would pick up other things that I wouldn't. You know, maybe two different people doing it is actually going to be better than just me doing it. I think that would be the case. But could I have said, like, hey, film this, film that, film this, and made a video out of it? I think technically I could have. I just don't think it would have been as good.
Yeah. Right?
They would have missed little things that I would have picked up on, and maybe potential future videos that I make based off of this one, video, they wouldn't have, gotten all those things too. So there's definitely something to be said for being there, like, in person, like on the ground, I guess, and to be able to tell a deeper story, or tell the story better, less superficially.
Yeah, no, fair. And if I could just say, I love the Japanese zoning video. I've recommended that so many times. I love it. It's like, yeah, amazing. Is there any advice you have for YouTube creators on what not to do? Like, what should someone avoid if they were just starting out, do you reckon?
I think don't worry too much about the trends or what other people are doing. And it's hard to say that, especially if you don't know how to make a video to start off with. Like, I think I always knew how to make a video, right? So that was kind of like, I don't know. Actually, I was going to say advantage, but I don't know, because sometimes I see people do things and they have no video experience. I'm like, I would never have done that, but that works because I guess they don't know, like, how not to break the rules, you know, because you learn certain things working certain jobs or certain fields, and you're thinking like, no, I would never do it this way, but oh wait, I just saw this person do that and that worked. Like, okay. You can take inspiration from lots of different people, like watch a lot of different, YouTubes and see what kind of things you like. But the biggest thing that, because I was not doing it for money, I just wanted to do something that interested me. And I definitely had in my mind that if it's just to make money, I don't want to do this, because this is like my creative outlet. Yeah. That's why I started making videos. I want to educate people and have a creative outlet, and I just did whatever I thought was good, and that's why I thought I wasn't going to do well, because I had never seen anybody do the videos that I did and do well. So I thought it can't be done. So I was really surprised when it did do well. So I don't think you should look at what other people are doing and say like, okay, I got to do it like them because that'll do well. Just do what you like, and I think the chances, honestly, of succeeding on YouTube are very small. Like they're really incredibly small if you think about it. Like how many people make YouTube videos and how many people actually end up being able to make a living, like make it into their full-time job. It's got to be less than 1% of people, So I think you got to just really like doing it, because if you do succeed, then you got to keep on doing it, And so I believe I've been able to do it for so long, and I still have an audience after 6 years because I still like doing it. I'm still interested in telling the stories, and I changed what I do. Like I haven't stuck to the exact same style. Like I think there's a certain, like, it's something produced by me. It has that kind of my touch on it, but I wouldn't say it's the same format or same style all the time, and that's what keeps it fresh for me, but also probably for the audience.
Yeah, exactly right. Is there anything we haven't talked about before we wrap up about the YouTube channel? Is there anything we haven't talked about that's consequential about the future of your YouTube channel, in your opinion?
consequential for a YouTube channel, my YouTube channel?
Your YouTube channel, yeah. Like anything, what's your big plans maybe going forward then? Or like, where do you see this going? Where would you like to see it going?
Before I would have said, yeah, I want to make a documentary, but I did that and I realized I'm not going to make another documentary for a while. I think that'll be something like the longer form documentary. I think that's something I'll make when I'm older, you know, like I think people talk about the retirement. They're like, oh, I want to retire and do all this stuff. Like, I still want to make videos when I retire, honestly. Like, maybe I don't want to retire, but maybe that's like, you know, in my 60s or something. Like, okay, I'll spend 5 years working on this thing because I'm in no rush. You know, like I can spend my time and go deeper into stories because some stories, like really great stories, I think take more time. Like one of my favorite documentaries I've seen is, I think it's called American Factory. And it's something the Obamas did not make the documentary. I think they purchased it after, or maybe they got into like post-production. Like they weren't at the ground level, but the creators that make it, and I can't remember their names, you know, I don't know how old they are, but they're not like in their 40s or something like that. But they did the story over, I don't know, like 5 years. And maybe the first like inkling of the story happened like 10 years before that. Yeah. And so they were able just to collect so much footage over so many years and just be like embed themselves so deeply into this American factory that they could tell a story that you could not tell otherwise. And there was no narration that I can think of. It was all just, you know, from people talking. I was like, my goodness, I can never do this. Like, this is amazing. And I don't think I could ever, like, I mean, I would hope I could do something even half as good, you know, like if I gave myself 5 or 10 years to do it, but I don't know, like that impressed me deeply. So that's the far future to do stuff like that. But in the short term, like year, 2 year, 3 years, I think I'll do topics that I can break down into, I can make a 15-minute video at a time about this certain topic. And then when you put all these videos together, they'll equal the length of a full-length documentary. Like there'll be an hour and a half or 2 hours worth of video about this one topic, but I'll just try to break it down into smaller chunks. So I'll be doing that with gender equality kind of topic in Japan. And there's probably a couple other topics I'll be covering too that it'll just span a few years, and I'll just do, you know, one video at a time and break it into small chunks.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Awesome. And I got to slip this final question in. I know we're strapped for time, but people love it. Has there been any books, classes, ideas, or experiences that have been influential in shaping your worldview?
Actually, you said people love it. I'm laughing because I'm like, I tend to avoid any, nonfiction books or anything because I mean, I used to, okay, so maybe this is something interesting. So I used to read a lot of, financial books like The Millionaire Mind, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I know these business books. And I thought like, okay, this is the way to do it. And I started up, several businesses, and it just never, ever worked as planned, Yeah. And I failed hardcore in some of these businesses and did okay on some other ones. But it just never worked as planned. And I think one of the reasons is because, this person can tell you what worked for them in that certain period of time, in that certain business, and all these certain factors. But just like YouTube, it's like, there is no formula for success beyond the really lame, and what sounds lame is make good stuff, make good content, So if you're a business making cakes, make a good cake, If you're a YouTube creator, make a good video. But what is a good video? And that really depends on the audience, So you have to think it's a good video. So with these self-help books and these Millionaire Minds, I did the thought it'd be cool to be a millionaire and I can have a successful business idea. I completely abandoned that, honestly. I don't care about being a millionaire anymore. I just care about, do I have enough to feed my family, and make sure that I'm not going to retire poor. that I have some savings, because if I'm doing a business on my own, I have to save on my own as well. I don't have anything else, any like fallback. So I have to make sure I save money for myself for the future. So do I have enough money to cover that? If I have enough money, then that's all I care about. And that's why I pursue certain ideas on YouTube, because I don't think they'll do well. And sometimes they don't do well, but more often than not, they actually do well, because I just wanted to make something good. And with the documentary, that actually went more the way of like, yeah, the documentary didn't make any money. I lost money making that documentary in more ways than one. And but I was really glad I did it. I learned a lot. And I think it's a piece that, 10 years down the road, people will look at it, hopefully, and they're like, okay, I can still connect with this. It's still relatable. And it's still like maybe even an artifact in this point in time. This is like, how people thought about being Japanese. So I'm very proud of that work. So if I had done that just for the money, I'd be pretty devastated right now, and maybe I'd be out of business, because I would have put all my like eggs in that one basket of like, I have to make this video successful, this documentary successful. But because I went into it thinking like, as long as I thought as long as I break even, I'll be fine. I did not break even, but like at that point, I'm like, you know what? I don't mind putting the extra money, because I just want this to be, up to what I think is good, like does justice to all the effort that's been put into it and all the trust that people that I interview put into me. So I guess my advice is I definitely read nonfiction books, and I still consume a lot of like educational videos on YouTube and podcasts and things like that. But I don't know. Sometimes you just got to do what feels right for yourself and try to just make something that you think is good. And every single time I've done that in my life, just focus on like what I think is good. It's not necessarily the straight path that's worked. Sometimes it's gone off this way or that way, but it's done okay. So just put your effort, whatever you're doing, just put your effort into it. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, then do something else. But people recognize, I think, when you try hard, I think people recognize it and respect that. And, opportunities will happen.
Yeah, mate, that's a perfect answer, and probably a lovely way to wrap up. So, Greg, thank you so much for today. It's been great.
Thank you very much for the invite. Yeah, it was a pleasure.